All right. Welcome the rest of you in the world of YouTube. We are having some great conversations. We're talking about how the Bible presents different pictures at times, different descriptions, even of God. And so Clodie and I were discussing this, and one of the things is that at various times, these writers are writing the world going on as it is around them. They're going to reflect different views of deity. They're going to reflect different views all around. One quick story, Clodie, that kind of reminds me of what we're talking about here. A friend of mine was one of 11, meaning he had 10 other brothers and sisters. And one of the family members passed away tragically. It's a very close family. And all the kids were adults at the time. In fact, they were, with 11 kids, they ranged from maybe mid-20s up until their 40s, but they all went to counseling together, which I thought was incredible. And
Wow.
one of the boys that was my good friend that I used to work with was telling me about this meeting. So they're sitting around, imagine 11 kids, grown-ups, but they're all, there's 10 of them at this point because one just died tragically. So the other 10 they're in the counselor's office, and they're going around the room and they're talking about their upbringing and the way that they grew up. And he said that one of his sisters said, "You know what I used to really enjoy? Every Sunday, Mama and Daddy would go for that walk with us." Now, he's one of the younger ones, and he said, "What?" And he said, "Oh, yeah, you don't remember? We would go on all the kids, and he said, "I don't remember that." But he didn't. He said all he remembers is that his father was always stressed, that his father was working nonstop. He was a pharmacist. He opened a pharmacy, and he never was home. He was always working, working, working. The mother was stressed because she's left at the house to deal with all these little kids, and but it was a different vision. By the time the oldest ones saw the daddy going on walks with them until, they're out of the house by the time the stress hits. And I'm bringing that up because in a small micro way, that's similar to what I'm talking about in the macro of the Bible. Certain people had visions of God that were, very pleasant, and some, like the writers of Lamentations, not at all. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And
What other
that
good
is about
insights?
it.
Is
No,
that
that
it?
is about it.
All right, well,
I'm
come on
gonna
back up.
hop in thank you.
All right, my friend. Elisheva, Shabbat Shalom, sister. How are you?
Hey, Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
How are you?
I I'm a little under the weather, but it's okay. I think that kind of illustrates what I wanted to say, and that's kind of jump on the bandwagon of what you and Clodie were saying. Is that sometimes we feel great and sometimes not so great.
Yeah.
But the most important thing is that we have a balance, and we know that our God, Hashem, Yod He Vav He, is always with us, no matter what, through the good times and the bad times. And you mentioned before some of the Kabbalah and mystical Judaism. And I see what you're talking about is that, there's one side of God that's the strong giverah, and the other is chesed, the compassionate side. But then in the middle is supposedly Teferet, which is the balance.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to focus on. For example, just to get a little personal, and I hope y'all don't mind, but we all have times like this. This has been a very roller coaster of a week for me.
Yeah.
Last Sunday would have been Roger's and my 40th anniversary. And as you all know, he passed away a little over 2.5 years ago. So that was a really hard day. And then this past Thursday was the first anniversary of the death of my 36-year-old granddaughter.
Yeah.
So that's tough. And then my own daughter had a medical procedure yesterday, which thank God turned out good. But it's like life is a dichotomy. And so when we think of our God, we compare, I guess we compare him to us or us to him, since we're made in his image.
Yeah.
And I suppose that's okay. But the important thing is to stand and be strong and to try to encourage one another.
Yeah.
And I think that's the ultimate. Like, I know maybe Valentine can talk later about what's going on in Israel. I mean, I hear some friends messaging me from their shelters,
Yeah.
saying, they can hear the missiles, they can hear the bombs coming, and the kids are scared to death, and yet they're so proud of their country
Yeah.
for stepping up and doing what it needs to do. Am Israel Chai, long live Israel.
Yeah.
And we know from the promises and the prophets that our God promised Abraham that he would bless those who bless Israel and curse those who curse Israel. And so I think that's what we need to keep in mind there. And that's a dichotomy too.
Yeah.
There's good and there's evil. And we just have to maintain strength in the midst of it. And I'm talking to myself right now because it's been hard for me to do this week.
Yeah.
But and I wasn't even going to get on today and nevertheless speak. But when I heard you and Clody talking, I thought, I've just got to say something because I so agree with what you were both saying.
Yeah.
So anyway, Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Love to all of you and to Valentine. My prayers are with you. And here I am with so many of my friends in Israel.
Yeah, we'll definitely get a report. One thing I wanted to comment on, and we might get into it a little bit more in a little while, is a lot of people miss, even though, like I hear a lot of people, and I've quoted Genesis 12, 1 through 3. I bless those who bless you, curse those who curse you. What a lot of people miss, I think, is that is in some ways bigger than Israel. All right.
Definitely.
Now, because
yes.
it's Abraham.
Right.
And so when you think about it, we typically, mainly because we're lovers of the Bible and many people are probably Zionist in their approach, we know that as you work down the family line, Abraham between, Abraham's kids and, is it Ishmael or Isaac? Well, it's in Isaac. And then Isaac's kids are Esau and Jacob, and it's in Jacob. So the blessing, in some regards, passes down to and is inherited by the people, the Jewish people. But at the same time, I think it's important that we never forget the good people of all of these other neighboring places, because they too are descendants of Abraham, quite
Absolutely.
often. And I think that that's important. In fact, one of the greatest opportunities to restore peace to that region will be when we can back that up and point to Abraham as the father of the faithful. And that's a prophetic message. In Isaiah chapter 51, it says, look to Abraham. He's talking to Judeans. He says, look to Abraham. So I think I know all this, but I'm just kind of, because it's been in the news and people feel like, well, I mean, I don't want anybody to feel bad for saying, I pray for the good people of Iran who are trying to be free from this evil regime who's usurped authority over, quite honestly, the people who made it possible ultimately for the return from the dispersion of the Jewish people, you know?
Yes,
I mean, it's so
absolutely.
important, and I think that that's something that's missed in today's commentaries. We need to refocus on that. We need to say, you know what? Hey, here's a news flash for you. If you get these wicked people out,
Hmm.
and you can do that with razor precision, please God, then what you'll
Please
have,
God.
hopefully, are a wonderful people, the descendants of the people of King Cyrus, who was the only one that God has ever called his Messiah.
Yes. And
Big, big
I've
point.
mentioned, I've mentioned before that when James and I lived in Iran in the early 60s, we both fell in love with the Iranian, well, the Persian people, I should say.
Yeah.
Speak Farsi, which is an Indo-European language,
Mm-hmm.
not Iranian. But anyway, that's just so true what you said. And regarding Abraham um, and his descendants, anyone who has not read my brother's new edited version of Restoring Abrahamic Faith,
Yeah.
please read it, because it gives a full picture of how everything came down. And it is extended to all children of Abraham. So, and basically, we're all children of Abraham.
Yeah.
So it's not, and when I say Am Israel Kai, yes, may Israel live, because right now there's an awful thing going on there in their country, but there's lots of other people that are also being persecuted in the world. And when I pray for Israel, I also pray for all good people of compassion and
Yeah.
love. So not just Israel.
Yeah, and believe me, I am a lover of Israel, and I have a lot of Israeli friends. And by the way, they're not all Jewish. Some are Jews, some are Christians, some are Arab. I mean, Arab Christians. I don't know any other Christians here.
Mm.
Well, I guess I do, but they all live harmoniously together, and they're all under attack. And so I think that's one of the things that we have to remember is it's a polygon, as we say. We have to pray for peace to be restored. So, hey, good stuff,
Absolutely.
Elisheva, and I pray
Thank
your
you.
week this week is much better than the
Oh, thank
last.
you.
Yep.
I believe that it will be. I believe that it will be. And I see Valentine over there smiling. I would love to hear an update from him
Yeah, I
um,
would too.
when he feels like it.
Yeah, that's
But
right. We don't want to pressure him, but if
no,
he's
no pressure, Valentine. Just get on right now.
all right, Betty, good deal.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let me unmute. All right.
Okay.
How you
Hello.
doing, brother?
Doing okay. Can you hear me okay? There's
Yeah,
a loud
yeah.
fan here. And I realized, hey, shalom. I realized that the last time I talked with you, there was a breeze, and it was probably interfering with our, at least my microphone. So sorry about that.
Oh no, it sounds
But
fun. Yeah.
okay, good. And some friends just arrived. And would you guys like to see the bomb shelter?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, if you
This is
can.
a military grade bomb shelter, which means it has 9 feet of concrete behind each wall and the ceiling. It's pretty impressive. Okay, let me turn this camera around. I'm gonna show
Okay.
you. Okay, so I'm sitting at my little desk right now. This is our bed. This is a little area. This is an area where some Orthodox people stay. They have 7 children.
Okay.
Amazing. Let's see. Here's Shirotim. You know what that means? It's the
Yeah,
bathroom.
that's right. Yeah.
Okay, these are pretty impressive. These huge blast doors. Okay, I'll try not to lose signal here.
Yep.
Go up the stairs 25 feet, I think. Check that out.
Oh, good.
That is one big blast door. Hopefully you can see it later.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can move my hand here. It's wider than my hand. I have to expand my hand.
Wow.
And so anyway, but everything is good. We have some friends that are staying, and this used to be the command center for the IDF when they would stay here, but they're staying at the other down the way. So let's see.
Nice.
There we go.
It's pretty big then. Now is
It's
this so this
huge.
is for, I guess, an apartment complex or for a neighborhood. Is that right, or am I wrong on that? What is that?
Well, actually, this one, okay, this was built the same year I was built. So this is 60 years old plus, and it is, this was made in 64, right? Yeah, 64. So this one is, was made for the, when the IDF would come down, because it has special equipment built into the walls and stuff.
Nice. Yeah.
And there's these doors that are, I would unlock it, but it was kind of wet in there. But anyway, it has other features, and it's really nice. You could probably get 200 people standing around in here. There were over 100 people yesterday. Matter of fact, I was responding to Todd on Facebook, because I hadn't been on Facebook in a week or more. And my wife said, I sent you something on Facebook Messenger. So I went on Facebook Messenger, and then I saw Todd had sent me a message. So I felt bad because I hadn't gotten back with him. And
Yeah.
People worry about people.
Yeah.
So sorry about that. I'll be good from here on out. But anyway, you know what though? This is a wild thing. I'm going to show you something. Let's see here. 1 second. You get a kick out of this. Okay. These were the alerts yesterday. At the time I was actually talking or sending a message to Todd, and we had to get to the bomb shelter. And see, the thing is, okay, now we're right in the very middle of all this, but and that was the one of them. Let's see here. I'll show you another. It was just bizarre. The first one that came in to Galilee and around was this, and that was enough. I could have just done with that one, but anyway, I think my wife told me was it 25 missiles yesterday? I'm sorry. Okay, I should know these things before I get on with all my friends.
No, that's all right.
I mean, sorry about that.
Yeah, still.
But anyway, it works out. But you know what? What Elisheva said, and I want, first of all, Elisheva, I pray that you have blessing, good health, long life. But what she said was really true. People are resilient. People are happy. I'm not singing my woes or singing the blues, but I'm just saying, okay, so I had to move over here to the bomb shelter, and it is a community bomb shelter. Mm-hmm. So we have several families that are staying here. They'll be here within the hour. But we got a surprise last night. We got here right before Shabbat, and the whole quarter of the room was flooded. And I had to figure out what was happening. And these teenagers, can you see this Mazgan, this air conditioner behind? Yep. These kids were fooling around with the temperature setting.
Oh no!
And they produced so much water, it started leaking over on the wall, and it was flooding everything. It only took about 3 hours to do it. When we came in, my wife and I came in, and I'm so glad. She said, let's go early and check out everything. So we did. And when we got over here, we saw the water was everywhere. So we let the people know, hey, before you get here, just know you got water. So we cleaned it all up. We spent our first 3 hours of Shabbat cleaning it.
Man.
And the Haredi people didn't show up. The Orthodox people that stay over here, because they probably would have rather not cleaned it up and just gone around it. But because you can have 100 people come in that door at any moment, you can't have people slipping on water. So we took a long time cleaning it. And then this morning we got up and it had to get finished, but we fixed it. Sometimes we have to do emergencies on Shabbat.
Absolutely.
So that's how I spent Shabbat. But it's good.
Yeah.
Again, no problem. That we were here. We helped fix a problem. So we were the blessing. We were the fixing thing, element to the story.
Outstanding. Yeah, what a great story. Yeah. So this is incredible. Like you said, you think it'll hold
It
like
is.
100 if you needed it.
Oh,
Easy.
well, hopefully they don't come here to sleep. But
Yeah.
But we had over 100 yesterday in here. We just happened to be at the cafe above. They're my favorite cafe. I've told you about Sammy's. Well, anyway, we were at the cafe. It's right next door at the top of the steps. And we were sitting there when that thing went off. And I'm like, let's just go. So we were down here and they were closing for the day, for the weekend. And it all worked out. And all these people came in. And as I said to Todd over there, the only problem was people don't understand these are ballistic missiles. And now we understand that there's been at least 3 documented, they're using cluster warheads. So that changes the game a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I had to insist that these people close the door. So Gor Hadelit, right? They had to close the door. And they didn't like me bossing. I wasn't bossing. I was just telling them, I'm closing the door.
Yeah.
So I did. But because the blast, the blast doors, because if that even hits in the area, the blast,
shrapnel or
come down that stairway faster than I can run.
Yeah.
And so anyway, it's working out and people are learning and people are hearing about what can happen. Me, all I had to see was that building of Tel Aviv, and that's all I needed. I know exactly what that stuff does.
Right.
But it's been exciting. It's been good. And you know what? They offered, I read, and my wife even told me they had some charter exits if people wanted to go. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll probably visit LA and Houston maybe later in the year, but I'm not going anywhere right now.
There's probably not a big hurry to get to LA right now. I can tell you that. I wouldn't have. Yeah. But anyway, I hadn't been there in a long time. But we hadn't even been out of the country in almost 11 years. We've been there a long time. Yeah.
So anyway, it all works out. Hashem is a blessing. God is a blessing. And I feel really happy personally because I have this wonderful bomb shelter. And plus, we have a beautiful apartment not very far from here. And so everything is working. And sometimes we go through things. I think we talked about this once before on here. We go through things and we think, why? I know I've asked this up. Why me? Why am I going through all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Just go through it. Do your best. You'll get through it.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Elisheva there. It's going to be okay. Go through it. You're going to be all right. Baruch Hashem. Blessings. And that's it. And sometimes it's not even a blessing for us. It has a blessing for other people. Like yesterday, nobody came in and slipped on a quarter-inch of water. So
no, I was going to say that's it's an incredible testimony, and to be able to bless other people like you and your wife did for Shabbat. What better is there than that?
Oh boy, I tell you, that was good. That was good stuff. I'm so happy that we're here because I don't know. Some people complain. I'm not a complainer. I'm really not. But I am a realist, and the reality is, little bitty speck Israel is fighting massively huge Iran. That just that's amazing.
Yeah.
And whether anybody likes it or agrees with it, I'm not asking anybody to like or agree with the idea. It's just amazing. Who would have believed you'd have seen that when, I knew it was going to happen.
Well, there's a lot of pride, I think, from what I gather from my Israeli friends. There is a lot of pride at this moment, faith in God, but pride in the IDF is the way some have put it. And the execution
and girls.
Yeah, that's right. The girls too. The execution of things seems to be, from what I gather, very, very good. Yeah, very good.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah. I hope you folks know we are absolutely, you, me, our eyes are seeing things that were prophesied thousands of years ago. This is unbelievable. I'm not saying the whole thing, the whole shebang is going to happen,
Yeah.
but I'm telling you what, you're seeing stuff that is prophetic kind of stuff. This is
Yeah.
in our lifetimes, and especially if you over 60 or 50 or so forth, you have seen things people dreamed they would see, and now
Yeah.
here we are. It's
Yeah.
amazing. That's great.
Yes, indeed. Well, I am glad that you and your wife have a good, safe place to get to, and
Thank you.
and hopefully you are quick on the response time, and you're getting.
Oh man.
Hey, look, you're getting in better shape as you run these stairs,
You
right?
bet. Oh, you bet. Yeah. I stay in good shape anyway, but
Yeah.
I've actually lost weight.
Yeah.
Like,
It's not necessarily the kind of workout plan that others would want to get on, but it's I bet it certainly is. You know, I'm not
it
making light. I
has,
think that running those stairs up and down is probably, of course, being in Israel, you know, I tell people on the tours, you get in shape as best you can before you go on a tour, because you're going to do some walking, and it's all uphill,
yes.
at least in Jerusalem. But
Everything.
the Galilee's pretty,
Everything.
yeah, it's pretty hilly as well. So
It has its hills. And yeah. And you know what, guys? It's going to get safe. It's
oh,
going to get
sure.
safe pretty soon. And you
Yep.
guys can all come and we'll have coffee and enjoy the day. It's beautiful. It is kind of odd, though, I think. I was thinking about this a little while ago. I was talking to my rabbi in Houston. And I say, you know, it's odd. It's the longest day of the year. I'm sitting in a bomb shelter, can't see sunlight.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I
It's
tell you,
okay.
I pray that you have better days ahead, and that the wicked regime is ousted, and the good people of Iran and the good people of
Yes.
Israel are able
Yes.
to shake hands and make some wonderful new future together for everyone involved. And so that
Neat.
you look back, like I mentioned a while ago, the Bible, the Tanakh ends with a Persian talking and
Amazing.
encouraging Jews to go back to the land. So what think about that. The last word in the Hebrew Bible is a Persian speaking.
Isn't that
I
amazing?
think it's I
Yes.
think it is.
And
Yeah.
and you know, the last thought about that is, you know how easy it would have been to do what we did plus if it weren't for the love and the care for the Persian people, the Iranian people. I mean, we could have made a mess of things.
Oh
It
yeah, no
would have
doubt.
been awful. But that's not right. I mean,
Yeah.
try to be as precise as you can and
Mhm.
try to do the best we can with doing the job that needs to happen. And I'm sorry for people that lose life or have problems because of all this. I hope we see, I think we will, that in the end, this will probably help Europe, US, some other people, so that we don't have this looming threat over our heads, the sword of Damocles above our heads, so to speak,
Yeah.
hanging by that bloody thread, and as they say in the poems. But
Mhm.
anyway, that would be great, and pray for the people of Iran. Pray that they have strength and they
Oh yeah.
rise up and they say, "No, we've had enough." And I think the women and children are suffering the most personally.
Oh yeah, I do
Of
too.
all the accounts of people I've talked to personally,
Yeah.
but my prayers are for them too. We're going to be okay here in Israel. I mean, you can pray for us. I'm
Oh
all
yeah,
for
we
that,
definitely pray for you. Yeah.
but we're going to be okay. But those people in Iran, they need encouragement right now.
Well,
They need help.
keep us posted as you can, and it's
I
always
will.
good. We appreciate you taking the time to join us and giving us an update, because for many on this panel, you're the only person that they know in the land of Israel, and so it's for all of us. It's a refreshing. We get to hear. You can watch the news, you can hear bits and pieces, but to actually talk to a man and his wife in a bomb shelter, that makes it even better. So,
It's great for Wi-Fi. We have Wi-Fi down here.
yeah, it must be some pretty good Wi-Fi too in that
It's really
underground.
good. Yeah.
Good deal.
Well, good talking with all of you. A blessing to all of you. And we'll see you. I'm going to stay on for a while, but
Okay,
I'll see you soon.
good
Okay.
deal. Thank you, brother.
Okay.
Elisheva, back in the seat. Wait a minute. All right, can you hear me now? Can I hear you now?
Yes, I can hear you. Thanks. I just wanted to thank Valentine for coming on, and also for his good thoughts towards me. I really appreciate that, and the
Yes,
same
indeed.
back to you, Valentine. I know you and my brother are friends, so that's that's a good connection.
Yep.
I meant to mention before, and I forgot. And some of you are probably very well aware of the history of Iran and Israel. They used to be really, really good friends. And I pray that that will come about once more. I understand that the Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi is waiting, hopefully soon, to come back to Iran. He was exiled along with his dad, and helped to establish that peace.
Yeah.
And that's all I wanted to say. Is I did post something on my Facebook, a very extensive little post that I did not write about
Right.
the history of Iran and Israel, and it's amazing. I didn't even realize that, but may
Good
that
deal.
happen. May that happen again, Baruch Hashem.
Absolutely. So,
And that's all for today. 2 times will have to be a charm.
well, don't
Thank
call
you.
it too early. You might need to come back up. Something pressing may take
All
place.
right. Okay.
Good deal. All right. Okay. Now, we've had a wonderful report from the Holy Land. We've had several good comments and inspiring suggestions come up and different things to comment on. What else do we have to talk about today? I do want to say probably in about 15 minutes, I'm supposed to answer and let a person into the building next to us. And so I've told this person, I normally don't even have my phone on during these sessions, but I told them when they get about 10 minutes out to text me because I may have to let them in. And if that's the case, you get to take a couple of minutes break and let me get them situated and set up, and then I'll run back in with a cup of coffee. Look, I tell you, I wanted to say a little bit more about this story of the spies. And so I'm curious if any of you have more to add to that story, to those narratives, and to what I presented today, just because I think it's such a fascinating text, and or several texts, actually. David, welcome. Shabbat Shalom, brother. There he is. Whoop, I got you unmuted, but I don't hear you. Mm, no,
How about now?
I got you now.
Okay, so
Perfect.
sorry.
Perfect.
And
Whoop, lost you again. Sorry, David. David, you came on for just a second, and then I lost you. So whatever you did a minute ago, it worked. Do that again, and don't change anything.
how about now?
All right, there you go. You got it.
Sorry, I'm dealing with a new computer. I'm fiddling with the audio.
Okay.
But yeah, this is a good. Seems like there have been getting to the story of the spies for a minute. There have been spies time in memoriam,
Yeah.
and we've got Mossad over there in Israel doing in Iran actually, and work the work they did is amazing and probably better work than the spies back in the time of the Israelites trying to go into the land. But
They
one,
certainly are good at their job. I'll give them that. Yeah.
yes, sir, amazing stuff that they have done. And and it makes it interesting to go back to the spy to the story of the spies, and I've been able to take a look at two of the three versions in my own Bible, which is an ESV, just a good old Gideon's Bible.
Oh, yeah.
It is the ESV, and if you stay at a Marriott hotel, you can always read one.
That's right.
And what I wanted to say, let me see if I can phrase this, is that I think in both the Deuteronomy and the Numbers accounts, the issue was not like that they sent spies to scout out the land. Like, that's not a problem. I don't think that was a problem. The problem was in the report that they brought back. So, either version, I think it was the Numbers version where it seemed to me, it said, I'm interpreted it that Yehovah sent or told them to send the spies in.
Right.
So it
Okay.
was an edict from the Lord himself. Whereas in Deuteronomy, it was my reading of it was that the people, or I don't think it's specified exactly who, came to the Lord with the idea that we will send some spies in to scout things out, and the Lord said it was good. This is a good idea. So slightly different where the idea came from, whether it came from the Lord himself or whether it came from the children of Israel, some of them, maybe a handful of them. That seems to be the difference. But I think that the messaging is nonetheless sort of similar, that the problem wasn't sending the spies. And in fact, it may have been just a good idea to set some strategy, to figure out how we're going to do this thing, where, map things out so this can be accomplished in the name of the Lord, but not doing it. The spies going in is all agreed that's a-okay, but it was the problem of the report which broke with faith in Yehovah, so that therein lies the problem. The faith of Abraham wasn't kept to ultimately, I think you touched on this before, it goes back to Abraham and going forth into the land that I promised you. And that was the promise from the beginning. And they got cold feet.
Yeah.
And that wasn't good. The spies, I think, had a job to do, but they got cold feet and they came back with a bad report. And that was the problem.
Yeah. No, good insights. In fact, one of the things that I like to do when I go on tours is very soon after we get everybody on the bus, usually we've done it different ways, but whether we pick up everybody at Ben Gurion or we have them meet at a hotel the first night and the next morning we get on the bus, when we're heading out, I tell them, look, you're going to see some things that you may want to gripe about. You're going to see some things you might say, oh, the people in this place are a little bit pushy, and they don't like waiting in lines as much. And, I go through a few things that they might see, Valentine, you know what I'm saying? But then I tell them, listen, you don't want to be the one that gripes. You don't want to complain. You just suck it up and smile, be polite, and keep going, because I've read a story about people griping and they ended up getting stuck in this desert for 40 years. So if you don't mind staying in this desert for 40 years, feel free to gripe and complain. Otherwise, shut it. And so that's usually just a little joke I tell them. But on the flip side of the joke, I want people to understand, I think that there's something about, whether you're talking about the Holy Land or anywhere, and this is not me trying to be a name it, claim it preacher, but there's something about getting your mind right and focusing on the positive over the negative. We see this. I've read reports because I'm sort of it's, it's sunny and, everything is happy. Generally I'm on the upbeat side, even when I probably shouldn't be. I'm a glass half full, whatever, and, different people think differently. But I think it's important. I've read papers where they've talked to athletes, and if they interview people and they say, how are you going to do? And they said, I'm going to blow the doors off this thing. I'm well trained, I'm honed. These people, they cannot possibly keep up with me. Some people look at that and they say that guy's arrogant or that gal is arrogant. But you know that they have shown statistically that people who get it in their head that they're going to win, that they're going to succeed, that they're going to do whatever, generally, that's what happens. And so it's somewhat, you could say, well, you're getting into some psychology here. But if you look at what's going on around you in your world, if you're very positive and upbeat about it, you've got a better chance of succeeding in fulfilling that task. Just an idea. Maybe that's a lesson for all of us when we read the story of the spies.
Good point.
Yeah. Anything else, David? I hope you get the
That's
hang
it
of this
for me.
computer.
Thank you so much. Shabbat
Yeah.
shalom.
Hey, Shabbat Shalom. Look, I know how it is when you get a new system and you're trying to get it all lined out. You look like you got it lined out now really well.
Somewhat.
Good deal. All right, brother. Good seeing you. Good hearing from you.
Thank you.
All right. Todd and Angel, how are you, friends?
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. What's going on?
You see it.
That's a good way to start and spend a Sabbath, man.
That's right. That's what we do. We sit.
Perfect.
I got something about the seats.
Okay.
It just pops out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But, oh yeah, by the way, seats.
Mm-hmm.
And we were discussing this morning about that. Supposedly Yeshua wore seats, but it doesn't really say he did. It basically just says that I could think of two instances off the top of my head. One is when the woman touches the hem of his garment and gets healed.
Yeah.
But it doesn't say it was a seat.
Right.
And the other one was the woman at the well when she knew just off the bat that he was a Jew. You're a Jew. I'm a Samaritan. And well, what made him look like a Jew?
Yeah.
I mean, did he have all his seats, or was she profiling?
Right.
Back in the old days. But seriously, but is there harm in wearing them if you did? They're just to remind you of the commandments.
Oh, I think it's a fantastic idea, and I wore them for years, even though I'm not Jewish, and even though it wasn't even like me saying, "Oh, I'm from the lost tribes of Israel," which at times I've wondered maybe I'm somehow genetically, but even beyond that, just from a biblical standpoint, you read Numbers 15:37 through 41. And it's really a good idea. It's not bad at all, particularly when you wear them on the corners of your garments, and it keeps you mindful. And so I don't think it's bad at all. In fact, I was going to, since you mentioned it, the other passage is Deuteronomy 22. Mm-hmm. It says in Deuteronomy 22, verse 12, you shall make tassels, different word, on the four corners of the cloak with which you cover yourself. So if someone wanted to get like all the verses about tzitzit in the Hebrew Bible, that would be it. But nonetheless, and then you can get into you can dive into that subject as deeply as you want. Should they be white? What kind of blue do I wear? Is it from the Chilion? Is it from, what creature is the blue dye, the Techelet from? And, I've read all these books, but just to say, I wore them for years, and I don't now, but it's not because I don't think it's a good idea. So if somebody said, hey, I want to wear these, there's been a big debate that has stirred up from time to time. People have said, well, can women wear them? Like I'm some kind of rabbi that should weigh in on these things, and it depends. The question is, it depends. You can ask. It depends on who you ask. Some groups would say absolutely women can wear them, and some would say absolutely not. But anything, this is the way I would do it. If I were a rabbi and someone cared about what I said, I would say, let me tell you, if wearing a fringe, white or blue, on your belt loops or on the four corners of your garments, whatever you do, if it reminds you of God and seeking to live your life according to his ways, knock yourself out. I think you should. I mean,
Well,
and if that's the case, I think everybody should put fringes on. Sorry.
well, isn't it kind of strange that the blue that they require to, or what they used to make the blue back then was unclean?
Well, it depends. It depends because there are major studies. There are major studies that debate what was behind the Tehelet. And I wanted to see if the book was catch my eye right away, but it didn't. But I'd give you a title. But there are some who suggest that the blue dye was, I've heard different things. I've heard it comes from a sea creature which was extinct and it came back. It showed back up on the shore. Some people have said that. Some people attribute it to like a snail, a crustacean, in which case both of those would be considered unclean.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the question of, could something unclean be used in such a noble plan? Well, I mean, it could if you think about it. But so then the other side of the story is that it was vegetable-based, that it was plant-based. And I've read some very interesting peer-reviewed papers. The reason I say that they're interesting and peer-reviewed is that they have found at Qumran and in other archaeological settings some material that is dyed with what is a bluish purple. I mean, it's thousands of years old. I mean, we're talking about to the first temple times, and it's been tested, and some of these don't indicate the product of an animal in any way, shape, or form. They think it's plant-based. So there you go. So you could look up, I want to think, Jono turned me on to that a couple of years ago. Just can't think of the name of it. But you can Google plant-based blue dye in the Bible or something like that and see what you find.
Yeah.
And that might be right up your alley. If you found some of that, you could make some for yourself.
Well, actually, I do make my own seat. I make them out of linen.
Yeah?
She found some linen string.
Cool.
And,
Yarn.
or yarn, whatever. And,
Yeah.
But I only make them probably that long. I don't make them very long because I work around machinery at work.
Yeah.
I don't want to get hung on anything. And
That is a wise decision. I got some hung up in a weed eater one time.
oh yeah, don't want to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. That
Kinda
wasn't
gives new
because
turn.
they were, I mean, it was like a weed trimmer thing. It wasn't that I had them hanging on the ground, so don't get the impression that, I was the person Jesus was talking about. Look, hold that thought, Todd. I'm going to tell our YouTube audience goodbye and thank them for joining us. And I'm going to check my phone, make sure I don't need to let that person in next door. But so Shabbat Shalom to our YouTube audience. Thank you for all that you do. Thanks for joining us. And look, if you're a member of the Yachad, come over to the Zoom call because I can tell this is about to get fun and exciting.